What if a millionaire tested his employees to see who had the biggest heart? Arthur Blake, a wealthy businessman and owner of the popular restaurant chain Blake's Beastro, had everything, except someone he could trust to care for his beloved daughter, Melissa. After losing his wife, Arthur realized that success meant nothing without kindness and compassion. He wanted to find a woman who was not only hardworking, but also had a genuine heart, someone who could one day be a loving mother to Melissa. But instead of choosing based on appearances or resumes, Arthur devised a bold experiment. He asked Melissa to disguise herself as a homeless girl and sit outside one of his restaurants, watching closely to see how his employees would react. Would they show kindness, or would they ignore someone in need? The results would change their lives forever. Dressed in worn-out clothes, Melissa took her place outside Blake's Bistro, her face lowered, mimicking the look of someone who had been struggling on the streets. The morning rush began, and people hurried past her, too busy with their own lives to spare a second glance. Customers entered the restaurant, chatting and laughing, oblivious to the young girl sitting just outside. Some of the waitresses glanced at her but quickly turned away, too caught up in their duties to pay her any attention. Hours passed, and Melissa started to feel invisible, until one waitress, Sarah, noticed her. Sarah, a hardworking single mother, had always believed in kindness, despite her own struggles raising two children alone. As she stepped outside, her heart ached for the girl sitting there, looking small and forgotten. Without hesitation, she knelt beside Melissa and smiled warmly. "Hey there, are you hungry?" she asked softly. Melissa nodded, trying to keep her disguise intact. Sarah quickly went inside, returning with a slice of pizza and a drink. "Here you go, sweetheart. This should help." Melissa was taken aback by Sarah's kindness. Unlike the others, Sarah didn't just see a homeless girl. She saw a person in need. And little did she know, her small act of compassion would change her life forever. Day after day, Sarah continued to show kindness to the girl outside Blake's Bistro. Each time she arrived for her shift, she would check on Melissa, bringing her food and a warm smile. She didn't just hand over a meal and walk away. She took a moment to talk to her, ask how she was doing, and offer words of encouragement. Even with her own struggles, working long hours while raising two children alone, Sarah never let kindness slip away from her heart. But not everyone shared her compassion. Veronica, another waitress at the restaurant, scoffed whenever she saw Melissa sitting outside. With her designer accessories and air of self-importance, Veronica saw people like Melissa as nothing more than a nuisance. "Why should we care about someone like her?" she sneered to her coworkers. "She's just looking for free handouts." Instead of kindness, Veronica offered only judgment, rolling her eyes every time Sarah took the time to help. What neither of them knew was that Arthur had been watching everything unfold. From his office window and discreet spots in the restaurant, he observed their actions carefully. He saw Sarah's quiet generosity and the way she treated Melissa with dignity. He also saw Veronica's cold-heartedness. Arthur knew now that true character wasn't revealed in grand gestures, but in small, everyday choices. And Sarah, without realizing it, was proving herself to be exactly the kind of person he was looking for. At the end of the week, Arthur decided it was time to reveal the truth. He gathered all the waitresses in the back room, his expression serious yet calm. "I want to thank you all for your hard work," he began, glancing around the room. "But today, I need to talk about something more important." The waitresses exchanged curious glances, wondering what was coming next. Arthur took a deep breath before continuing. "Some of you may have noticed the young girl sitting outside the restaurant this past week. What you didn't know is that she wasn't actually homeless. She was part of an experiment. My daughter, Melissa." Gasps filled the room as the truth sank in. Melissa, standing beside her father, pulled off the old hoodie she had been wearing in disguise. "I wanted to see how you all would react to someone in need," Arthur explained. "And one person stood out." All eyes turned to Sarah, who looked both surprised and nervous. Arthur smiled at her. "Sarah, you showed true kindness when no one was watching. You didn't hesitate to help, even when you had no reason to. That's the kind of person I admire." He then made his announcement. He would be paying for Sarah's education and helping with her children's schooling. "You deserve a chance at a better future," he said warmly. The room was filled with mixed emotions. Some of the waitresses clapped, genuinely happy for Sarah. Others murmured in awe, realizing just how much kindness could change a life. But in the corner, Veronica's arms were crossed, her face twisted in envy. She couldn't believe that Sarah, the woman she had mocked, was now being rewarded. As jealousy burned inside her, she silently vowed that this wasn't over. Jealous and bitter, Veronica refused to accept Sarah's success. She couldn't stand the idea that someone she looked down on had won Arthur's favor. So, she decided to take matters into her own hands. Whispers started spreading among the staff, rumors that Sarah had only received help because she manipulated Arthur, playing the victim to gain sympathy. At first, it was just quiet gossip, but soon, more and more employees began to question Sarah's intentions. The warm support she had felt was slowly replaced by cold stares and hushed conversations behind her back. Arthur, a man who paid close attention to the atmosphere of his restaurant, quickly noticed the shift. The once friendly environment at Blake's Beastro felt tense, and he knew exactly who was behind it. To put an end to the toxicity, he called a staff meeting. "I've heard some troubling things," he said, his sharp gaze sweeping across the room. "And I won't tolerate lies or cruelty in my restaurant." That was Veronica's moment. Smirking, she stepped forward. "Mr. Blake, I have proof that Sarah isn't as innocent as she seems," she declared, pulling out her phone. She played a video that appeared to show Sarah taking extra food from the kitchen and giving it to Melissa. Gasps filled the room. "She's been stealing," Veronica accused. "She's not kind. She's just taking advantage of you." Sarah's face paled as she watched the distorted version of events. She had never taken anything that wasn't given to her. Arthur studied the video, his jaw tightening. He knew manipulation when he saw it. "This doesn't prove anything," he said firmly. "And I won't allow lies to destroy someone's reputation." Veronica's smirk faltered. She had expected Arthur to turn against Sarah, but instead, she had just exposed herself as the real problem. Arthur's sharp gaze remained locked on Veronica as he took a deep breath, steadying his voice. "This video is edited," he said firmly. "Anyone who truly knows Sarah would understand that she would never steal." The room fell silent as everyone turned to him, their earlier doubts now replaced with uncertainty. Sarah stood frozen, her heart pounding, unsure of how things would unfold. Arthur continued, his voice calm but unwavering. "Sarah has shown nothing but kindness and integrity since the day she walked into this restaurant. She didn't know she was being watched. She didn't do any of this for a reward. She helped because that's who she is." He turned his gaze to the rest of the staff. "But some of you were quick to believe the worst about her." Realization washed over the employees, and guilt settled in. One by one, they lowered their heads, ashamed of how easily they had been swayed by rumors. A few stepped forward. "Sarah, we're sorry," one of the waitresses murmured. "We should have known better." Others nodded, offering quiet apologies, their admiration for Sarah growing once again. Meanwhile, Veronica stood in stunned silence. She had expected Sarah to crumble under pressure, but instead, her plan had completely backfired. The respect she once had among her co-workers had vanished, replaced by whispers of disappointment. Arthur's next words sealed her fate. "Veronica, I don't tolerate dishonesty or cruelty in my restaurant. If you can't respect your coworkers, perhaps this isn't the place for you." Humiliation flooded her face as she realized she had lost everything. Not just Arthur's trust, but also the respect of her peers. As the meeting ended, Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of relief. Though the past few weeks had tested her, she knew one thing for sure: kindness would always prevail. With the truth revealed and the negativity behind her, Sarah found herself standing at the beginning of a new chapter. True to his word, Arthur made sure she had everything she needed to further her education. He covered her tuition, helped with her children's schooling, and ensured that she had the support to create a better future. No longer just a waitress struggling to get by, Sarah now had the chance to build the life she had always dreamed of. But perhaps the most unexpected reward was the bond she formed with Melissa. The young girl had admired Sarah from the start, and now, with no disguises or experiments between them, their connection deepened. One evening, as they sat together after Melissa's school play, the little girl beamed up at her. "Sarah, you're my hero," she said sincerely. "You showed me that kindness is the most important thing in the world." Sarah felt her heart swell. This wasn't just about her own journey anymore. She was shaping Melissa's future too. As weeks passed, Blake's Bistro transformed. The restaurant became more than just a place to eat. It became a symbol of kindness and community. Inspired by Sarah's story, Arthur began initiatives to help those in need, offering meals to the less fortunate and encouraging his employees to always choose compassion. The atmosphere changed. People worked together, supported one another, and carried forward the lesson that Sarah had so effortlessly demonstrated. And Arthur? He saw everything more clearly than ever. Watching Sarah interact with Melissa, he knew he had found the kind of woman he wanted in his daughter's life. Not someone driven by status or wealth, but by kindness, humility, and a heart full of love. As he sat back, watching them laugh together, Arthur smiled. Because, in the end, it wasn't just about finding someone for Melissa. It was about finding someone who could change all their lives for the better. At the heart of this story lies a simple yet powerful truth. Kindness and compassion will always triumph over cruelty and greed. In a world where success is often measured by wealth and status, it's easy to overlook the true value of a generous heart. But as Sarah proved, it's not riches that define a person, it's the way they treat others, especially those in need. Now ask yourself, what would you do if you saw someone struggling? Would you take a moment to help, or would you walk away? Have you ever witnessed a moment of true kindness that changed someone's life? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your stories. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring content. And be sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss another powerful story about kindness, courage, and the strength of the human spirit. Thanks for watching, and remember, one act of kindness can change the world.